This is a tutorial for long stitch binding. It's designed to go along with my bookbinding kit where you can make your own leather or faux leather journal with a long stitch binding. So I already have my cover with lining paper on, and I've made the holes which should be in the same place for the cover and for the inside sheets. You can find details of this in the kit where it will show you how to make the holes. So I have a bookbinding needle, although any sewing needle would be fine, with bookbinding thread, but again any strong waxed thread can be used for this. The other thing you will need is a paper clip. So I'm going to take the first signature and I'm going to go in through the top hole of the signature, and then I'm going to go in through the corresponding hole on the left. So I've got 4 sets of holes here, so I'm going to go on the first set, pull the thread all the way through, leaving a tail long enough so that I'm not going to accidentally lose it. I'm then going to hook the thread around the paper clip and go back in through the same hole. And that's going to keep a loop on the outside of the book. I'll then go back in through the same signature, pull it tight, and tie a knot. Left over right, right over left. So a reef knot, or the type of knot you do when you're doing your shoelaces. Just do an extra one for luck. Okay, so now we're going to go in through the next hole, through the pages, and then in out of the leather. Along to the next hole, which I can't see very clearly on this whole type of colour leather, but if I hold it up to the light I can see through the hole and it's there. That probably hasn't come out on the video though. So that is the first of our long stitches. So in through the signature, along to the next hole, and out through the leather, and then down to the bottom hole, which I can see a bit more clearly, and I'm going through the corresponding hole in the signature too, and then out through the bottom hole and through the leather. By the time you get to the end of a signature, it's staying in place much better, which means it's a little bit difficult to show you inside the stitch. So I'm going to pull all of that tight, and then I'm going to go on to the first of the next set of holes. So through the leather, and then I'm going to start adding the next signature. So in through that bottom hole, out through the next hole, through this hole. Oh, look, I can see I've hooked that thread round there, so I'm just going to undo that. Because we don't want a twisted thread, because it just means that it won't lie as flat. So, back in that one, back through the leather. To do our long stitch, in through the first of the middle holes and out through the second of the middle holes, back into the leather, along to the first of the top holes, and I think I've just gone in there a slightly different place to where I made the hole, so just be careful you don't do that. And then out the top hole. Okay, so this thread that's on the paper clip, I'm just going to put my needle through it. Careful not to catch the leather as you do this. So once I've gone through there, the paper clip can come off and I'm ready to start the third signature. So in through the top hole, out through the next hole, in through the third hole, out through that middle hole, in through the middle hole rather, and then out through the next middle hole. Where you see me struggling to get the needle through the paper, it means that I didn't do a very good job of punching big enough holes. Out through the bottom one, and then through that last bottom one. So at this stage I'm going to pull everything, check it's nice and tight, and once I'm happy it's tight enough, I'm just going to thread. So at the top we threaded it through the loop that was on the paper clip, and at the bottom here we're going to thread it through the line from the previous one, and then we're going to go in the last hole on the bottom to start the last signature. So exactly the same as before, in, out, in through that one, and out through that one. Out through the top hole. And out through that last one. So again, we're going to tighten up all of these threads, and even though that felt tight, it's amazing how much I'm able to pull that through. And then go through that one again, and we're this time going to go back in the same hole. So through there and through there. And then we're going to tie a knot like so. So there is our long stitch binding. So the last thing we'll do is to make a closure to do the notebook up. The other thing we can do is just trim that first thread to a point where it's not going to stick up out of the book.